Hey, it's Russ Payton. I'm here with Role Playing Public Radio to talk to Rhodrick Magsino about ARKYVR, a new Mothership module that's up for an innie, a module that I was really interested in from the premise, where the players are, well, Rhodrick, why don't you tell us what's the exact premise of ARKYVR?
Well, in ARKYVR, it's a supplement that you can play on top of Mothership, where you, instead of your typical survivors, you play as a documentary film crew. So the book has everything you need to make like a production shoot in the Mothership universe. So it comes with 4 new classes: the camera operator, producer, sound recordist, and utility technician, and it has everything that you'll need in terms of coming into problems on set. Like, you have a shot list, you have deliverables, clients that you have to deal with, you have on-set issues, but then you layer that on top of a Mothership setting. So you're trying to shoot like a day-in-the-life documentary, but also there's brain parasites taking over the crew. And like, it also creates an excuse for a lot of the idea of when people always wonder, like, why do you keep rolling the film when you're being attacked by aliens? Well, in ARKYVR, you are being paid as a documentary crew from a large corporation to gather these shots. So you have an incentive to go into the danger and complete your film despite everything, otherwise you won't get paid.
And for me, when I read this, I was obviously reminded of the found footage film genre, things like The Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity. Was that the inspiration, or where did it come from?
The inspiration actually came less from found footage and more from real experiences on set. I've been working professionally in the film industry for about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
And for the entire time that I've been working on set, every time it feels like I'm in a D&D crew, because everyone's got their own specialized thing that they do. You're in sound, you're in camera, you don't touch the other person's stuff, but you work together. There's always problems on set, and every time I play a role-playing game, they just feel interchangeable, they feel the same way. And I wanted to create a game where the crew themselves get to be the heroes, rather than the people on the other side of the camera.
That's really interesting. What is your job in the film industry?
So I'm a sound recordist and a sound mixer. I work primarily in post-production now, but for a long time I was like the boom operator and sound recordist.
Okay. I worked on a couple of low-budget films myself. The Sci-Fi Channel shot a film in my hometown, and I was a location scout. So I know what you mean by like this being a D&D crew. Like everyone is very eccentric, and a lot of colorful people that you meet on there. So in terms of you getting your idea, how long did it take you to like write and playtest ARKYVR?
So I'd say it took about a solid. I mulled around the idea for about 6 months before I started actually putting pen on paper and writing it down. And from that point, it took me a solid year to write the entire thing. But that wasn't by myself. That was also, I had help from Alex Cheng, who was the film industry advisor. He's someone that I've worked with on set for many, many years, and he's also avid tabletop gamer. So we just pulled our minds together and tried to figure out different ways to take all of our experiences on set and figure out how to apply them to tabletop mechanics. And for a long time, I was trying to figure out how to create ARKYVR's own individual system, and nothing really felt fluid. It didn't feel original, and then so I started shopping around and like, what other pre-existing system can I use this with? And then when I came across Mothership, and I read through like how it's all based on this kind of unregulated corporate capitalist dystopia and all the different tech that's involved, it just made perfect sense. And because of Mothership and the setting that it already comes with, it made the most sense to make a film supplement that was specifically about documentary filmmakers, like corporate propagandist documentary filmmakers, because if you've ever worked on a creative film set, it's actually pretty boring. Like, everything's pretty really laid out, and it's built so that there's no mistakes, there's nothing weird. But as a documentary crew, you're just sent to a place by a patron who doesn't care, and then you're supposed to figure out how it all works. So with the whole alien scenario, it fit perfectly.
Yeah, you've added some sort of modifications to the Mothership system in terms of like XP, or like how your crew improves from shooting the footage. Is there like a shot? You talk about like a shot list and things like that.
Yeah, so there's a mini game mechanic within it with the shot lists and deliverables. So every time you enter a mission, the GM has already prefabricated a deliverables contract from your corporate patron. And what that is, it's gonna be a list of like 5, 7, or 10 specific shots of what your client wants you to get. Like for example, they want you to go to the Epsilon 14 mine and they want you to interview the captain about this particular thing. They want you to get a shot of her doing a specific action. And so you have a list of basically campaign objectives when you start the mission. And then the other side of it is the players have a shot list. So every time they decide to record something, they're going to pass or fail in varying degrees. There are some unique mechanics within ARKYVR where in Mothership you typically have a skill check that you have to roll under to achieve it. With ARKYVR, when you're shooting a scene, everyone can contribute their particular skill to improve that camera operator's skill check to add more to it. So it incentivizes everyone chipping in the shot, and if all 4 players chip in to do this one shot and the shot fails, everyone takes stress. So it's like everyone's in on it together, everyone suffers together.
Oh, wow. I mean, that really emphasizes Mothership's strength because, like, I mean, in the core system, every class has its own way to stress out other player characters. And so, like, just adding more onto it, like, in playtesting, did it have a lot of, like, I imagine there'd be this sort of spiral where characters, once things start going bad, it goes really badly really quickly, or is that right, or like what kind of dynamic did you find in playtesting?
So it was interesting. It was I saw both sides where it really depends. A lot of the weight goes on how the GM prepares it, because the GM has to sort of prepare the scenario sort of like an investigative mystery with all these alien surprises. If you can set it up in a way where the characters are really just an investigative journalist crew talking to a bunch of people, trying to figure out, like, you can have multiple factions. And the idea of ARKYVR is that it's built so that the players, they have a mission to record one story, but the GM can provide as many branching stories as they want, and then it's up to the players to choose which stories they want to follow. And that's kind of the fun and incentive about it. It's like, yeah, you're here to do this one story, but maybe you find a different story and you want to record that instead. And then what are the benefits and consequences of veering off from your contract? What else do you find by tackling these other stories? So you can have games where it's just investigative and it's just exploring the lore and the factions within the universe. And then you have ones where you can set it up where, hey, you're interviewing a person and their head explodes, and then all hell breaks loose. Or somewhere in the middle. And I've had actually, like, all kinds of games where it's really dependent how you want to pace it with the surprises.
Okay.
So
cool. So you can use this, like, these rules not only to, like, you mentioned Epsilon 14, like, you know, the standard sort of like brochure adventure for Mothership, but pretty much any Mothership adventure could be converted into an ARKYVR.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing about ARKYVR is that it's built so that you can skin it on any pre-existing Mothership module. So, for example, there's a bunch of rules within ARKYVR so that you can take the pre-existing characters and the monsters and then shift them so that they can add more intrigue to, like, film gear. And so maybe, like, certain monsters react to different frame rates, or you can hear different things using your sound gear, or maybe things are reactive to, like, light temperatures. So it's really easy to just skin it on top, because all you're doing is repurposing who the players are and what the mission is. And one of the other big feature about ARKYVR is that it allows you to play sequels to your games. So, for example, we've had a lot of times where people, if they're playing just a regular Mothership game and their entire crew gets wiped out, you can play that same module as the documentary crew that comes in afterwards to see what happens. And it allows the GM or the warden to, like, if you didn't get to really show all, like, the secrets and the lore that you've built up because they died too quickly, you can have the ARKYVR crew come in as as the sequel and, like, have a second chance to, like, discover all the cool stuff that you, like, wrote out.
Oh, that's awesome. So after writing playtesting a bit, like, the book looks beautiful. Like, how did that come together?
Like the layout and
layout and art and all that kind of stuff.
So
did you kickstart it first and then make it, or did you make it?
No, I actually I wrote and made, like, a temporary layout about half of the book before I kickstart and before I. So I got, like, less than half the game done, and like kind of was experimenting with the layout before I even launched the crowdfunding, just to show everyone this is what the game is.
Okay.
This is what it's going to look like. And then I think that was about 3 months of work before I actually started really promoting the crowdfunder.
Yeah.
And after that, it was like almost a year of me like finishing everything out. And because I was doing the layout myself, and Alex, my industry advisor, was also helping me with the graphic design. It was just a lot of back and forth and experimenting with like what thematically works, what's the easiest way to like hand off the information. Because I tried to write ARKYVR so that it's not just a game book, but it's also like a really loose instruction book of like how to make a movie for someone who's never made a movie. So if you read the book front to back, it talks about pre-production, production, post-production, all the things that you kind of need to know to like if you want to be in the film business. It's all there. Just hit it in the rule book. So. Oh
man. That's really cool. I love that like attention to, even though it's a sci-fi game, like it has that real world material in it.
Yeah.
And when I read about it, it's kind of struck me that no one else has done like, I can't think of other RPGs that have done this kind of, well, maybe some indie games like solo like RPGs on itch, but like, you know, there's everything on itch. But like, it seems like a very unique idea for, has it been well, I mean, obviously, you know, you've got a, any nomination, but like, have you gotten a good reception otherwise?
I knew that when I started writing this, that it was going to be very niche.
Yeah.
And I knew that when I was writing it, there's going to be a good chunk of people who just aren't going to like it or dig it, because I didn't want to make it to appeal to as many people as possible. I wanted to appeal to film nerds who like making movies or like watching behind the scenes and want to play that game. So yeah, I mean, I've had hot and cold responses to it. There are people who are like, this is like way too techie and like I'm not like really into that. And I see other people, both in the industry and not, like 2 seconds looking at the idea like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And especially like speaking to people who are actually industry filmmakers or podcasters or content creators, they flip through the book and they see all these little like jokes about like what it's like to make a movie, just like hidden in there.
Yeah.
Even the whole back list of gear that you can have is all just like a sci-fi filmmaker's like dream of like what would you wish you had on set that doesn't exist yet.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dang. So do you have like a filmography in the book of like what to watch to be inspired to make an ARKYVR game?
I don't actually provide like a straightforward filmography, but I do drop like names and movie references and things like that. The first 2 pages when you open the book, it says, "Greetings, ARKYVR. Welcome aboard the ... You roll some d10s to figure out the name of your ship." But the names are all like film directors. So. But it doesn't say it explicitly. It just, if you look it up, you're like, oh, Jodorowsky's in there. Oh, you know, Herzog's in there. Oh, you know, Shaosen's in there. So it just allows people to explore themselves without me like being straightforward. So.
Right. I'm imagining what the Mothership version of Fitzcarraldo would be, you know, like hauling a spaceship up an asteroid. I don't know, like, yeah, that would be a pretty fun. So are you working on anything now?
Yeah, I'm actually just finishing up an expansion to ARKYVR called Omendrome. It funded during Mothership Month 2024. It was one of the 20 projects that was involved in that. So Omendrome is one of the factions within ARKYVR. ARKYVR has 10 different factions, of which when you film your movie, you don't have to just give it to your one patron. You can decide which shots, who do you want to give certain shots to, and depend who you give your footage to can kind of shift the dynamics of the universe and give you certain benefits and things like that. So Omendrome is essentially a pirate shock TV station inspired heavily by Omendrome. So, not Omendrome, inspired by Videodrome.
Oh.
And it's a very like Cronenberg-esque body horror module where the whole module is basically a call sheet looking for film bounties. So you look it up, it's hey, we're looking for this person, we need these shots, and then when the players go to find that person, they discover that the subject matter and the topics that you're trying to capture are morally problematic, and you have to decide like, do you want to get the shot and be an accomplice? Do you want to kind of shape the story differently? How do you want to like shape it? So.
Cool. And where can people find you on the internet?
They can find everything that I make at ailwoodgames.com.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention before we go?
No, I think that's it.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward. I'm probably going to run ARKYVR, to be honest. I'm a big fan of Mothership in general, and like, I love, you know, a film crew making, like Shadow the Vampire, but in space, you know, or something like that. It's great. So, actually, that would work if the monster was a cast member. Like, trying to get the murderous thing to like, you know, get on his marks and you know say his lies, you know, before he eats another crew member.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. But cool. Well, thanks, Rhodrick, and good luck at the Ennies. So,
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.